You want to see the most beautiful thing I've ever filmed? Sometimes there's so much beauty in the world. I feel like I can't take it.
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Naggy. I'm here once again by Novocastrian's man of the people, Mr. Liam McNeil. Liam, thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure as always, Naggy. I'm overjoyed to be here this week as we always are. And as we always are, we're joined by our musical guest, Mr. Neenish Tart. Take it away, Neenish.
This is what it sounds like when dolphins cry.
Bang, a bullet through the head. Unfortunately, that
It's the most humane way to kill any animal. A bullet through the noggin.
That's right. Slight explosion.
Yeah.
Slight explosion. Now, Liam, very exciting for you.
And for us and for all of our friends, our loved ones, for every member of really this great community that we're a part of that loves the red and blue so much.
I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited, Liam. It was an incredible game to watch. Now, I watched it via telecast, television, but you and the rest of the Joust crew were actually there at the game.
I did. We all started the day, as all good days start, at the Wickham Park Hotel, of course.
Yes.
Gravy City. We got ourselves tucked into a couple of roast dinners.
Yes.
And then plenty of schooners. Did you know, Naggy?
Please tell me.
You can buy a schooner of local craft beer at the Wickham Park for $8.
That's bargain.
$8. In this economy, in this day and age, this cost of living crisis where the Liberals are screwing us, the Labours are screwing us, the Independents are screwing us if anyone knew who any of them were.
We're being screwed.
You know who's not screwing us? The fine publicans down at the
Wickham Park Hotel. Wonderful way to start there. Of course, it was a game that you could very, very comfortably go there for lunch. And then the Sunday game, of course. And
there's a bus that goes right up Tudor Street, right to the front doors of the stadium.
Perfect.
It's the most convenient place on earth, the Wickham Park Hotel.
The sun's up there. It's getting warmer.
Well, it wasn't, but it was around.
The sun was around. It was in the sky at some point.
It was in the vicinity.
Yeah. And so it was a wonderful way to get into the game. And I think we've got to remind ourselves, Liam, this was a must-win game.
It was the definition of a must-win game.
Yeah.
Because we must have won the game.
Playing against a team that needed to win also. Well, the greatest contest to get into the 8 was literally, if we win, we'll go in. If you win, you'll go in.
Which I like, because too often you've got, the mathematical chance, I have to win by this much, they have to lose by that much. No, just give me a game. If we win, we win. If we lose, we all go kill ourselves. That's what I want in a rugby league game.
Thank you, Alan Turing, of course, for all your work leading up to the finals, but we've made it.
Didn't need you, Alan.
But of course, before we dive into the Newcastle Knights, Liam, we have to cover everything else in rugby league. It's time for the news. Thank you, Neenish. Liam, a lot making news this week, but the biggest thing for the Newcastle Knights fans, if we look at the table there...
The monolith that is the NRL table at the end of the season.
We have been etched in stone. The ink is dry. 8th spot is us. How the fuck did we do it?
I wish I knew, Naggy. I think we're going to have a whole segment in the season review simply called How the Fuck Did We Do It? That'll be the name of the season wrap episode. Because I don't know. I feel like we wrote the team off many times throughout the... Oh, we of little faith, Naggy.
Yes, yeah.
We of little faith.
None faith, maybe. I don't know. It seemed like it was only weeks ago that we were sitting in 13th place. There was pressure put on AOB saying, hang on a second.
All of a sudden, we're rattling around trying to find clauses to get rid of him. And now, all of a sudden, we don't want to.
The contracts have been looked at, but now this is, again, 4 out of 5 for AOB. Which
if you look at the form lines for the last 5 rounds of the comp, you'll notice the Knights went 4-1.
4-1.
Who else went 4-1? Melbourne Storm, they came first.
Oh, there we go.
Cronulla Sharks, they came fourth. We finished with the third best record in the last 5 rounds.
As good as any other team there in that top 8. The top 8 that really counts is basically a new competition. It's all up for grabs.
Well, that's it. The numbers mean nothing now. First, 8th, 13th, 14th, last, none of it matters.
Possibly the worst trophy given to any team is the minor premiership, where they basically give them, the NRL says, what do I have in my pocket? I think I've got about
I've got $100,000. There you go. Let's always forget about it.
What happened happens to that $100,000, do you think, Liam? I don't know.
It's a big piss up, probably.
Maybe they bring in some new seats for the sideline. Maybe you get more.
Because when you break it down, now let's look. There's the Melbourne minor premiership squad. So you assume you've got 30 players on your roster.
Yeah.
You've got development players. You've got coaches. You've got staff. You've got water boys. They probably split it with the cheerleaders.
Possibly.
Probably wouldn't even get enough to buy a pint of beer in Melbourne.
You could only put
you
on
could
the...
buy a couple at the Wicken Park Hotel.
Oh,
but not in the fancy city down there.
You couldn't put a down payment on a house in Melbourne, ironically.
Yeah.
What was it buying? It's buying no one a house. 100 grand.
If anything, it's a bit of a slap in the face.
Insulting, I think.
It's like, you've achieved the greatest thing you can do in the regular season.
6 months.
We're going to give you pretty much nothing.
Yeah. We're going to give you a slap in the back and a huge trophy in a chest.
Yeah.
But that goes up on the wall and then it's all forgotten about. I think
It's like when they do remember they used to do the school certificate.
Yes.
You're in year 10 and they say it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. That you have to dedicate your life to it. You have to be on the verge of death when you finish.
Yes.
And then they say, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. No one really talks about it.
No one gives a shit about the school certificate.
Oh, the high school certificate or the school certificate?
The school certificate.
The year 10 one.
Yeah, the year 10 one.
Yeah.
And then they say none of that matters.
None of it matters. No one would ask you what you got in your high school certificate unless you're one of the people that got the really, really high ATARs.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a curse. They go, what did you get? And they go, oh, I got 94. And they go, and you're doing this now? What a waste of time.
See, I did the opposite. I did really, really well in the school certificate, and they said
Yes.
that didn't matter. And I said, well, I'm never doing homework again.
Yeah.
63 ATAR.
Oh, there you go.
Not even doing any homework.
63, not too bad.
A day of homework.
Yeah, a day, just a day. Now, Liam, of course, when we look at the top of the ladder, we have to cast our eyes all the way down to the bottom of the ladder.
Well, that's the duality of life. You can't look at the top without looking at the bottom. And we're so used to looking at the bottom that now we can look at the bottom from a different perspective.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I love looking at the bottom from all parts of life, all parts of the world. It's always important to look who's on the bottom because
Bottom's
then you know
great,
who you can make fun of.
That's right.
Yeah, the people who came last.
And the person that achieved both cheeks is Benji Marshall there of the bottom, and that's his third wooden spoon. I say his trophy cabinet's empty, but his kitchen drawer's full. It was a brand new.
Was one of them? He was a player.
No.
Perhaps?
I think he was
on the coaching staff for the. I think he's
he was in South. So two. He's got his name attached to because he was second fiddle to Tim Sheens.
Yeah,
and
that's
he said,
one.
And he
then
said,
got
no.
this one. That's two.
And he said, I can do better. I can do better than Tim Sheens. I can get a spoon.
On his own merits. He can get it on his own merits.
Yeah,
That's it. This is Benji Marshall's masterpiece. He said, I did it with Sheensy, but no, this is just me. This is just me.
And he's managed to survive the coaching cull. Every year we lose a few coaches. This year,
we still never worked out. When was that third spoon that Benji was involved with?
Oh, the one before. No, he wasn't involved with the club at all.
Oh, you said three. You said he's got 3 spoons.
Well, no, the club's got 3 spoons, and he's the representative of the club. You said
Yes.
3 in a row. Of course, Newcastle Knights fans will be very, very used to the 3 in a row concept.
But see, we did it properly.
Yeah.
3 in a row with the same coach.
Same
they
coach.
took
Yeah.
the cowardly option. Their coach came last. They said, you're bad. We'll get rid of you. You know what the Knights said?
Yeah.
You came last. You're pretty good. Do it again for us, would you?
We like it.
Play it again, Brownie.
We like it rough. Some clubs decided to jettison their coaches early in the season.
Funnily enough, not the team that came last.
Yeah, Brad Arthur as well as Jason Dimitri. And they said, thank God we did that because we ended up in 15th and 16th place.
Pretty bad.
It
bad.
was pretty bad regardless. You almost think they might have been like a captain of a ship and said, I'm going to go down with a ship. But instead they were set off in a lifeboat.
Well, that's it. The CEO of the White Star Lines. You're not going down with the ship. We don't trust you with the ship at all.
We don't trust
You're
you.
not even going to be on the ship.
No.
How can you go down with the ship if you're on, the docks in Belfast waving goodbye?
It was the mutiny on the Bounty, and that man survived. It was Captain Bligh.
Captain Bligh.
He lived to fight again, as those coaches probably will. They go off
Pretty
and
shit
fight.
mutiny.
They're probably looking at it, working for other clubs now, looking at going, thank God I got out of there.
Yeah.
Terrible to see South Sydney getting second last. I think Eels are only one better. But so they were all circling the bottom, circling the drain, going round and round and round. But now if we look up again, we cast our eyes and our minds
Not
up.
all the way up, though, just to the middle of the up,
to the
where
middle-
the Knights are.
the middle of the
middle
up.
up.
We've got the final series, which we are a part of, Liam.
What a great sentence. It's still...
it doesn't really fit. I don't know why.
It doesn't feel right.
Taking on the North Queensland Cowboys, 10-8 on Saturday.
A fake good team.
Yes. Unusual time as well, 7:50 on a Saturday. Typically, games will kick off at 7:30.
Well, it's in North Queensland. It'll only be 45 degrees by 7:50.
That's right. It'll be a very humid game. Hot. I don't know where anyone lives up there. There might be 12 Knights supporters that will get a long bus trip up there.
And there'll be the 12 most honourable people in that stadium.
If you-
Noble, honourable, working class heroes that this country's built on. It's the Newcastle Knights fan base.
If you take a car, a bus, anything on the road, and you drive
Sid Foggs?
Yeah, Sid Foggs.
If I just ride there on Greg's back.
Well, I tell you what, Townsville, Townstown, as we like to call it.
See, we got to the bottom of that, didn't we? It's Townstown. Yeah.
It's a very, very far away to get to place, because even if you get to Brisbane, which might take you, I don't know, from Newcastle 8 or 9 hours, have a little breather there, keep filling up the bus, and then you got to keep going another 9 hours up. It's it's stupidly far up the country.
And you know what it is? It's another example of rugby league in their Sydney Ivory Tower declaring the Cowboys Brisbane a local derby.
That's right. Nothing local about
it's north of they're both north of the Tweed. They must be neighbours. They couldn't be further from each other.
They may as well cut the little arm of Australia at the top there, cut it off and just send it off up to Papua New Guinea. That's all I care about. But we're going up there. Also, Queensland Country Bank Stadium. It was for a while there called
1-300 Smiles,
which I'm sort of glad they got rid of, because it was just embarrassing to tell anyone about that. That was sort of rugby league adjacent to say that's the what? I say that's the name of the stadium. They say why? I say I don't know. At least McDonald Jones,
because there's a rich dentist up there apparently.
Apparently, loves Smile. What was that business? Was it for hand jobs? I don't know. But via the telephone, that's an amazing service.
And your 1,300th hand job was free.
Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe with the vibration that you can get, they just continuously call you and you stick the iPhone down the DAX. And then you pay $1,300. A very expensive way to live your life.
See, we're getting to the bottom of the real hard-hitting questions that the big wigs in the corporate NRL media won't touch.
They won't touch it.
They
won't touch it. Much like a prostitute over the phone, they won't touch it. But Liam, as we move forwards on from this slide,
not backwards.
Not backwards.
Twirling, always twirling.
Controversy follows everyone, Liam, including teams that are fighting for the finals. And
we're not above a bit of controversy happening to us from time to time. Just no one cares about us enough to make the news.
Josh Addo-Carr has been pulled over, and the policeman has said, Joshua, you have tested positive for cocaine, and you're driving a vehicle.
Yes.
And he says, am I? And then they said, we don't know. Hang on a second. We have to
go.
Which I think is probably the most, the best result for anyone that's just been pulled over drug driving under the influence. And then so that he had to do a second test, but they said, thanks for doing the second test, goodbye. and then he's gone back to his club and they said, did you pass the test or not? Or fail it? And he says, to be quite frank, I have no idea.
Which, if there's ever an admission of guilt, that's it. Like, did you murder Mr. Rowney?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
did it then.
I don't. Possibly. Is he still alive? We don't know. We had to leave. Apparently, it was a home invasion near where it was the RBT was taking place, and all the police just fucked off, and all the testing just got thrown on the road, and then it was sort of left up to Josh to follow it up, which is an interesting approach from the New South Wales police.
But now I think Phil Gould summed it up quite appropriately, and in this article, Phil's gone and said it has probably, if we bring that up quickly, Bulldogs boss has revealed this, and on the next one it does say, in fact, that it has probably been said that Josh has in some ways lied to us or misled us. What a bizarre sentence.
Yeah, he's
a very strange sentence.
Talking out of both sides of his mouth there, Mr. Gould, leading into the final series. One of the more
Which ideally, if you're speaking, you should speak out of both sides of your mouth.
Yeah.
For the purposes of enunciation. No one would understand you.
Talking like this. Yeah. But Phil Gould is obviously very protective over his side, finally making the finals. This is not what they want to see. They don't want to see any, especially one of the more high-profile players that we're often seeing in a Blues jersey, possibly getting done for cocaine use.
And then, of course, Josh Addo-Carr has made the extraordinary step of standing himself down.
Yeah.
Now, if that's ever an admission of guilt, if I've ever heard one.
Well, I would like to know, where is the integrity unit, Mr. Jonathan Farnham?
Well, that's it. He said, I am the integrity unit.
Yeah,
He's a man of integrity. He said, I will step myself down. Richard Martin and Jonathan Farnham, I've no time for you.
No time.
I don't care what you're going to say. I'm going to do the integritous thing.
Yeah.
Good on Josh Addo-Carr.
Very good for just playing it safe, I say, except with the cocaine use, where he goes very, very hard. The North Queensland...
Again, that is his right as an Australian,
Yes.
as a working man,
Yep.
as a bloke getting paid several $100,000, he can do with it as he please.
I think so.
I'm not the tax office. I'm
No.
not the ATO saying you should spend your money in this way.
No.
I'm not the Labor Party saying
No.
tighten your belt in this hard times.
Loosen it. If anything. Yeah. Let your hair down.
Drug dealers are the basis of our economy, and if they're not getting paid, I don't want to think what's going to happen to us,
Legalise
non-drug
it.
dealers.
Tax it. That's all I say. Make some money for this economy.
Yeah.
North Queensland Cowboys, Liam, and the very team that will be playing hasn't escaped this kind of controversy, although it wasn't a former player, that never played for the club, I don't believe. It was ever played
I don't think
for
he
the
did.
club.
No.
He played for every other one.
Every other club except for the North Queensland
And
Cowboys.
the Knights. Famously, he only played not for Cowboys and Knights.
Not for Cowboys and Knights, and then so he's decided to also drink drive. And what I think is the more traditional way to get done on roadside is to drink drive rather than all this fancy pantsy drug.
That's what our dads would do.
Yeah,
That's what their fathers would do before them.
Drink
Drink
drive.
driving.
Of course, there was legal drink driving before they had the blow in the bag. They used to have a physical bag that would fill up with air, and then that's how
That's
the
just a
testing.
balloon.
Yeah, it was. And then you have to do that. And James Maloney, who's never
Do
come.
you think that only worked because everyone was always drink driving, like blow into
100%.
this? No one realised it's just a balloon.
It's just a balloon. Yeah, and they said, and then
You
they
blow it up there. You inflated that? Oh yeah, you're drunk, mate.
Yeah,
you're drunk.
James Maloney came out and said, "Hang on, I have tested positive for drink driving, but it wasn't excessively over.
It was only low range.
It was low range.
Yeah.
I think everyone's done a bit of low range in their life, And James,
Some of us have done higher range.
James Maloney, I think, in many respects, this isn't his first time drink driving. If anything, he thought, I am a bit pissed, but I would have gotten home.
And if it had come out about anyone being a larrikin and drink driving, Jim Maloney, I was like,
I've done it. Yeah, but that's cost him his job. So they've sacked him up there in North Queensland. I don't know what he's going to do up there in North Queensland now that he's not working for the North Queensland Cowboys.
Probably drive limos or something.
Probably continue his driving, and
The
then
company that hired Paul Kent might give him a phone call.
Funerals.
So you want to drive the hearse around for a bit,
Hearses.
James?
There we go.
Because the person in the back of the hearse is already dead. So if you're a bit pissed and driving around, you wrap it around a tree.
What's the
They're already
damage?
dead.
You're insured. The risk stays with you. That's all. Especially up there in North Queensland, they only own 16 cars up there, so the chances of hitting another one's very small.
And they're all beat up Land Rovers that never actually go on the road anyway.
And they're all drink driving up there as well. So really, I tell you what, James Maloney's in a good place for drink driving, but a bad employment. And that's what I've said for a long time, the North Queensland Cowboys, bad employment. So he's gotten out of there now, and I'm sure he'll be thrown a job somewhere else, and possibly
Media.
Possibly an Uber account might be thrown his way as well.
He's still really kind of living off that joke he made about wanking.
He made a wanking joke.
Don't you remember? He was on they interviewed him on the footy show. He's doing a charity barbecue, and they said, what do you do on your weekend? He goes, sometimes I barbecue alone. And the rugby league world fell in love with him.
He's a good honest boy, I tell
Honest
you that.
boy.
Yeah, he won a few grand finals, but not for Penrith.
And he came by them honestly.
Yeah. Look, the Brisbane Broncos, Liam, if we're looking at a team that hasn't been done for drink driving yet, but it's always possible. But there was been a bit of criticism thrown their way. Of course, they've gone down from second place last year to 12th.
That's a significant drop.
That's a fall.
Yeah.
You fall down a ladder, and you've gone down that many runs. It's you're getting your chin knocked on the way down.
It's a real fall from grace.
Yeah. Grace being the top. And the ground.
She's on the bottom sometimes as well.
But the criticism has come from I guess you could say an unlikely source because
An old man. It's not like an old man to criticize young people. My word.
This old man,
I've never seen it.
what's the old man's name that he's come
Barry
out?
Maranta.
Barry Maranta.
He owns the Broncos or something.
Or he once did.
Yeah.
And he said if you don't play for your potential, you pay for your CVs and your scrapbooks. Even that's barely legible. Really. But he's got a way out. He said, look, I tell you what, the Broncos need more intimidating fools like Tony Carroll, Peter Ryan, Trevor Gilmeister, Glenn Lazarus, Shane Whippy, Gordon Tallis, and Brad Thorne, all men that are basically half dead.
Like, how hard can it be? Just bring in 8 absolute rugby league legends.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
That's all you have to do.
That's what I said to AAB at the start of the year. I said, just bring back Joey, Matt Gidley, Matthew Johns, Robbie O'Davis. It's easy, Adam. You're a bad coach for not doing that.
Premiership. That's easy
it's
to
that
get to.
easy. And this man, he's found the secret to success.
Found the secret. Well,
just resurrect old icons who are near death.
When you're 86, you look down at men that are pushing 50. You think they're young men, so they could probably still do it.
But the overpaid, pampered youngsters thing, it just reeks of Graham Gilbert. I feel like that's the kind of thing Graham would have said in the old days. Like, these young men and their $750,000.
Too much.
Hip musicians and their complicated shoes.
Yeah, and their Discmans and their Pokemons.
That's what they're spending all the money on.
Yeah,
the Discman.
The Discman. Yeah, their rock albums.
They've probably even got the ones with anti-skip technology, so when you bump it, it just keeps playing.
The cars, of course, you'd have the Discman. If you go over any bumps, it's basically you're listening to your...
He's still trying to crank up the gramophone in the backseat of his Holden Cortina.
1, 2, 3.
Can't do it. Can't do it. So is this just an example of the old envying the youth, Naggy?
Possibly.
Was it Aristotle or was it Socrates who famously said kids are idiots?
Basically, I think it was Socrates that said they have no respect for their elders and they come to dinner basically not ready.
Because elders are dickheads.
They are every
part.
generation wants to out the next generation as lazy.
And then of course the powerhouse of the club, one of the real beating hearts, the trainer, former trainer, not the current trainer. They savaged Kevin Walters as quote a poor leader who can't hear home truths.
Now, this is a huge fall from grace from there, as we said before. Grace is on the bottom. And he's come from the grand final, and now he's playing, he's not playing anything because they're in the now off-season, finishing 12th. Where did it all go wrong for the Brisbane Broncos? Is it possibly just injuries?
When Brad Thorne retired.
Brad Thorne, 2006.
Shouldn't have let it happen. That's hard. Just ask Barry Miranda. If Brad Thorne and Glenn Lazarus were still playing today, they would have had the Proven Summons Trophy would have to buy a house up there.
Wrapped up, wouldn't even go to finals. They would say, you're that good, just take it. It was a team that had all the expectation. They didn't lose too many players except Herbie Farnworth and Thomas Flegler. But it seemed like there was enough youth coming up the
pampered
backside.
Youth, apparently.
All pampered.
Just poor Grace. They're on top of her. They're underneath. They're coming up her backside.
Grace is competent. Reece Walsh, as well as Patrick Carrigan, sort of leading the way of these sort of young new Broncos.
And then the steady old hand of Adam Reynolds telling them they're little dickheads and do your homework.
Is this a bit of a fear that now that they're about to probably lose their halfback as far as an age, they have to start looking to a new generation and they've got this young and exciting talent, and they think, hang on a second, we might be running out of time. Do you think this is the clock ticking against them, Liam?
It may well be, Naggy, the clock ticking against them, and that's one thing you don't want to have ticking against you. But maybe where it all went wrong, Naggy, and we should have seen it coming, was at the start of the year when Selwyn Cobbo said in an interview, I don't think Kevin Walters is a good coach, and we said, oh, no.
No, I think that might have been Tyson Gamble.
No, it was
Selwyn Cobbo as well. Right,
it was Selwyn Cobbo, and he said
that was last year.
Last year, yeah.
And he said, I don't think Kevy's a good coach. I mean, he's a great guy.
Good bloke.
He's a good bloke. Good bloke. Which is the curse of rugby league. If you are described as a good bloke, just means you're shit at everything else. He's a good bloke.
Wonderful to be around, but it's not wonderful to learn from.
And so that maybe we should have taken heed of Selwyn's words and said, maybe not this time, Kevy. But Kevy's had a number of falls from grace. Seems like when he came into the Queensland coaching role, he was, it's Kevy. He's great. He's a Queensland man.
Yes.
And then that fell from grace. And they took over the Broncos. He's a great man. He's a great Broncos man. And that fell from grace.
10 minutes from a grand final win, most likely, and then it's all fallen through his fingers. Pressure's on. Where does Kevy need to finish next year to keep his job, Liam?
It doesn't matter because he'll probably be working for the Queensland Rugby Union because that's next in the news now. We often discuss in great depth the differences between rugby league and rugby union.
Well, one has money, of course.
One has money. The other one has money, but not in Australia. There's money elsewhere for rugby union. But it seems to be that the Queensland Rugby Union, Naggy, have reached out to the Brisbane Broncos and they would like to potentially merge their businesses. Now, my one concern, Naggy, is that rugby league is rugby league.
Of course.
And rugby union is rugby union. Now, how do you merge the two?
Do the reverse 1908, I think, is what happens. Because we said
finally bringing the boys all back together, bringing the band back together.
The fellas at 1908 said, actually, we're going to start a brand new sport, and it's going to be different. And I think a lot of it was going to be professional. We're going to pay people.
They are.
And the rugby union said, no, they'll do it for free. Now that free is apparently wearing a bit thin with most people that are expecting a bit of money.
Yeah.
And now they're crying poor, and I think the quote says, we'll talk to anyone.
He did, and I think he sort of put that out there as a statement as like, we will take on all people who call us. He's like, no, they're just desperate. They'll take anything. I believe they, in fact, decided to reach out to the Broncos instead of Rugby Australia, the very governing body of the game that they actually play.
Other people
It's
with money.
bizarre.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it really speaks to the fall from grace.
The first people that they call, because they're the closest people locally. They say, hang on, the office is only across the road. Maybe they've got some money.
They just open the phone book. B, Brisbane Broncos. We'll call them.
There you go. That sounds great.
Aaron Aronson, no. Brisbane Broncos, yes.
Aronson was on the phone for 45 minutes. He's just like, I don't have any money.
Now, I do have actually one really good story about a man who didn't want to play football professionally. He wanted to do it for the love of the game. It's a man named Steve Merrick. Now, Steve Merrick was one of my rep coaches growing up. Fantastic fella. Now, he was playing for the Wallabies in the early 90s. He played, I think, 2 tests at halfback. He was keeping George Gregan out of the team.
Yes.
And in 1993, I think, Rugby Union said, all right, we're going to be professional now. We want to pay the players. And he said, I don't want to get paid.
I don't receive money
to play footy.
Right.
It's my favourite thing in the world. So he just moved back to Singleton, got a job in the mines, won 3 premierships for the Singo Bulls, and became the greatest coach in arguably junior Newcastle Rugby League history.
Interesting. What was that fellow's name again?
Steve.
Someone.
Steve Merrick.
Steve Merrick.
One of the great rugby men of all time. He said, I'm not getting paid to play this game that I love.
Yeah.
I'm going to play it because I love it.
Jokes on Australian rugby unions too, because I'll tell you what, their fall guy happened to fall on George Gregan, and he only had a couple of tests in him. I think it was 140.
Yeah, it was not many. He was short. It wasn't a thing. And then, of course, you've got I think we've seen it here in Peanuts. You've got Lucy, the Brisbane Broncos, holding the Gilbert. And are they going to pull the Gilbert away from Peanuts when he goes to kick the ball?
I'm not familiar with the cartoon, but I believe that's how it goes.
He goes to kick it, she pulls it away. Lucy, you bitch.
Yeah. Gilbert's are much better for kicking.
It's a much better because you got to wear shorts, which are good for kicking, and then you got to kick your Gilbert, which is good for kicking. It's more rounded on the edges.
It's got a bigger breast.
It's a much larger breast. It's more like an oblong. It's less pointy.
Yeah, your Steed is more of like your skinny jeans of your early 2000s. You know, they're good, but they're not great for kicking because you can't get the leg up.
And the Gilberts are the shorts. You can get the leg up.
Speaking about conversation,
let's not even get started on the sharing. That is an affront to nature.
Speaking
it's
about
red.
The conversation between jeans and youth and skinny jeans.
Oh, I don't know what this man is.
Yeah. Rugby League has said, don't worry. The NRL has said, don't worry. We've got a very, very special act for you. That's going to be the grand final entertainment. It's The Kid Laroi. Now,
Kid Laroi, ladies and gentlemen.
I have no
Grammy award-winning artist, The Kid Laroi.
Never heard of them.
Do they still give out Grammys?
Possibly. I don't know who this guy is. Is he American? Can someone tell me?
No, he's Australian.
He's Australian. Okay.
But now, I honestly think this is a very good decision from the NRL.
Yes.
Because the people you hear complaining about it are the same people who were, shitting on the young, pampered Broncos players.
Possibly.
They're people who are going to watch the NRL Grand Final regardless.
Yeah.
We are people who are going to watch the NRL Grand Final regardless.
Yes.
We don't give a shit about this boy.
Have we?
What they have done is brought in this boy
Yes.
to play music so that people who like the music but don't watch rugby league will watch rugby league to hear the music.
The youth. You say they're trying to target the youth.
Yeah.
We're no longer youth.
No.
We're barely men.
We're not men.
So now we're
half a man each.
I think everyone expected the likes of Jimmy Barnes to be playing. Well, that's something we're very comfortable with. Yeah, built
That's
out.
it. Jimmy Barnes is safe.
Yeah.
Jimmy Barnes is a safe bet.
Yeah.
And I think the greatest example is the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yes.
That's not people watching football.
No.
It's an event in and of itself that gets people who don't watch football to watch football.
It is. It's its own thing.
It's its own thing.
But Jimmy Barnes was safe to play Flame Trees one more time with his voice flogged out of oblivion. And we sort of hit. But I think if everyone looks back on the times of great halftime shows, full halftime, is it when they played? Pre-game shows. Of course, there's Billy Idol that came in the year 2000. He said, I love my footy.
On a hovercraft.
Yes.
I remember in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, they're like, hovercrafts are going to take over the world.
Huge, yeah. We'll be hovering.
And then they roll over a stone and pop, and you can't do anything.
They all go
You can't
bang.
go up a hill.
No.
You can't go up a mountain.
That was also terrible because we got this international actor, Billy Idol, even though he was well past his time, and then the power just went out, which wasn't the greatest advertising for rugby league. He still loved his footy and he needed some power, and he never got it. Did he end up playing? Does anyone know? He just went off again. That would have been a nice little paycheck. Nice paycheck for him just to hovercraft on. Yeah. If someone paid me just to hovercraft into an event and then the lights go out and then I fuck off,
Still get paid.
Still get paid.
You didn't get to just fuck off though, because there was a good 4 minutes where you had to just chew it.
Of just being in the.
You had to just eat it in front of people.
And his microphone was still working.
His microphone was the
only thing that works. Interesting, Josh. And so he just there shouting in the dark. Hey,
well, you know what it reminds me of, Naggy? Many years ago when the NRL hired Macklemore to do the show.
Yeah, of course.
And again, it was great. The youth got involved. The old people hated it because he had a song about the gays. But the kids loved it.
Yeah,
and they said, this is a great game of rugby league. Or a gang of youths played once. That was sick.
Oh,
the drummer was wearing a bloody Knights jersey.
Yeah, Newcastle boy.
I'd never listened to him. I was listening to the radio broadcast when I was going from the pub to where I was watching the game.
Yeah.
And I heard, this is a good band. I like this band a lot.
Yeah.
And I learned to love them.
And then, so that was probably at peak when the youth and us met. And then now we're too old and we don't know who this fellow is. And he looks like he might be 12 years.
We feel like our youth was about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's all it was. And then after that it was just stress and anxiety.
And out of touch.
Liam, we're going to take a halftime break and we'll be right back to talk about everything Newcastle Knights win over the Dolphins. We'll see you soon.
You're out of touch, I'm out of time, and I'm out of my head when you're not around. You're out of touch, I'm out of time, and I'm out of my head when you're not around. Whoa, whoa.
Caleb Ponga had 13 tackle busts in that game. That's fucking stupid. That's incredible. Go Knights.
Now, Naggy, I don't condone binge drinking. I don't condone the ills that alcohol will bring on a person.
That might have been you after a very, very strong celebration.
Very strong celebration and 400 drinks. Well, look, if you're going to be a pub charging $8 a schooner, I'm going to get my money's worth.
That's right.
I did.
Yeah, you'd be on the verge of intoxication. You wait till you left the venue and then got into proper intoxication.
Absolutely, yes. It was an immediate transition as soon as I stepped out the door.
Liam, you have to cast our minds back to when we actually thought, hang on a second, we could possibly win this game.
Yes.
Against the Brisbane Dolphins, the Redcliffe
That's
Dolphins.
all the same.
It's all up there. And it was Wayne Bennett returning to town.
Well, that was my concern, Naggy, was the Wayne revenge arc.
Yes.
You know, was he going to come back into town and, swing that little head of his around and get a bit of a win over his old team?
Doesn't do much swinging these days, really. Doesn't do much talking either. He's just sort of there. He's more of a figurehead, if anything. Yeah. He's one moment away from being, a statue, and then they go over and just pay respects to the statue of Wayne.
And we can't get a statue of Andrew Johns, and they had a statue of Wayne Bennett in the coach's box.
Bronze for Johns.
Bronze for Johns.
We have not
Hashtags.
given up on hashtag Bronze for Johns. We haven't forgotten about it. Thank you very much, statue guy. But Liam, as we're coming into this game, it was all on the table, and we thought, this hasn't been a great season so far.
We didn't even think we'd be at the table.
No,
let alone staring at a table and it's got all of it on it.
Yeah.
We got to the table and said, what's all this?
We're amongst it, Liam. And now, also, the week before, the Dolphins played against the Brisbane Broncos.
And they played against them very, very well, Naggy.
Thrashed them. They looked like they had points. They had points up their ass and out of their ass. 40 points to 6.
Well, they had to be in there if they were going to come out.
They had to come out eventually, and they all did, all at once.
Was that Wayne's swan song, do you think, Naggy?
Potentially.
He had 2 revenge games in him, but revenge it's tiring.
Yeah.
Getting revenge on someone's exhausting. So maybe one revenge, he was like, I've got 2 chances of revenge. There's one revenge I want more than the other revenge. I'm just going to do one of them.
It was best served cold, and it was too hot in Newcastle. Maybe we gave it a spin in the microwave. And he wasn't ready for it. But it was a game, they were in front of 29,500 Novocastrians.
Now, you know when I knew the Knights were going to win that game?
When?
The second I stepped through the gates at Marathon Stadium, and there was 29,433 of our dearest, most loved people.
Yes.
There was people everywhere, Naggy. Yeah. And it was something that I adore about going to the footy in Newcastle. You go there and you just bump into so many people who you haven't seen in so long, and you chat and you talk shit and you just reminisce and you discuss, the time in 2005 where we won the relay state championships when we were completely ruled out. James Downey, it was great to see you and reminisce about that. It was really great just to watch a bunch of really good footy, to catch up with some really great people you don't see for years, and then and it's great. It was just a wonderful day.
It was like a big school reunion, if you will.
Well,
town reunion.
I didn't go to my 10-year reunion. I went to the pub that it was at, and I said hello to everyone in the line, and I was like, I'll come in and have a great time. And then I think I went and did drugs with other people.
Now, there was It wasn't a game where we expected possibly Newcastle Knights needed to outscore the Dolphins, but it was very, very scarce in the scoring department for a very, very long time.
It was it was a finals intensity game, and we say that a lot around this time of year when we're like, oh, it had semi-final intensity because the semi-finals were coming. Because you forget what the semi-final intensity was like, but that's what it felt like. It was gritty. It was low scoring. It was not flashy, except for Kalen Ponga, the flashiest man on the planet. It was definitely a game that is the kind of win you get in finals footy. Sorry, I lost my train there.
Liam, if you look at the stats, we see a huge standout of our forward pack. I thought did an excellent job against a big bolstering Dolphins with the likes of Jesse
Bromwich.
I was going to say Jesse Ramian, another Jesse. There's more than one.
There's two big Jessies.
There's two big Jessies, and he's playing his final game of NRL, and we'll get.
That's what my dad used to call me growing up. You've just been a big Jesse.
Big Brom. But the forwards really set the platform, and for the first time in a long time, it looked like we were the fitter team.
Now, you mentioned this to me earlier, and I hadn't really thought about that, but you're right. It did seem that the Dolphins were gassed, and the Knights were not gassed.
Starting with TPJ, and you referred to him as
just a guy, just a big man.
Just a fat bloke.
I didn't say that.
You don't piss off any more boxes. Yeah.
There's too many boxes. Yeah, I said it.
Do you need to apologise again?
Any apologies?
Sorry, Mr. TP Johnson. Thank you.
But it seemed like we had the more energy and right at the clutch times, even though it was back and forth and it wasn't arm wrestle, neither team could score. And of course, they did go over to score, the Dolphins, but it was removed from them by the bunker.
And rightly so.
Rightly so. As per the rules of the game.
I think a wise man at the ground, the man on the buttons in the ivory tower, he said, we just need to check all available angles. And some smart man from the back just said, fuck all available angles.
Yeah, they said no, we'll just check what we've got.
That was me. I said that. Got a good laugh too. Got a great laugh.
Yeah, Liam, but to really congratulate players that we thought did an excellent job.
Yeah, I took it off too early.
You took it off too early.
I had an itch.
But it's time for Hats Off for this week.
Hats off. Hats off. Hats off. Hats off. Hats off.
Now, Liam, you've put your hat there. I was going to put my hat over here, but this is the kind of player that we want to congratulate for Hats Off.
We can't be covering the bobbled head of Kalen Ponga. What a rugby league game from Kalen Ponga. Now, what we've seen from this man down the stretch is that, is he the next Joey?
Possibly.
Is he the man who says, you all can be shit, I'm going to be really good? But everyone else was really good.
So often.
But he was even very, very gooder.
Even gooder.
Yeah.
There's good, there's gooder. And then
there's goodest.
And there's goodest. And he was the goodest.
And there's good day.
He seemed to be the most talented player on the field, and quite often we, there's supporters that balk at his price tag and say, oh, it's far too expensive.
You know what I like to call those people?
Balkers.
Dickheads I want to punch in the face.
Punch face balkers. And then, but he decides in the most important game of the season to really take the game by the scruff of the neck and said, follow me, guys. I've got the way to victory in a very low-scoring game. 2 try assists. We only scored 2 tries. He's like,
I don't think we appreciate just how physically strong he is. He put the weight of an entire region of almost 1 million people on his shoulders.
Mining region, which is heavy because it's full of heavy metals.
Heavy metals, lots of hospitality workers, so we're all a bit fat from drinking too much piss.
Yes.
And he put us all on his shoulders and said, go with me, boys. And we went with him.
He was taking a lot of just runs of the ball. I like on the 4th tackle, just going for a bit of a run up the middle, try his luck.
Well, that's what he's been doing these last few games. He's just been getting in and amongst.
Yeah.
He's just been there or thereabouts. Much.
Hands on the Steeden. Hands on the skinny jeans, I call it. And he loved it. He absolutely loved it. 2 try assists, 171 metres, as you pointed. 13 tackle breaks. What was you say? How the fuck did he do that?
I don't know.
Something like that.
I don't recall.
Murmuring there. But he really led from the front and putting those the 2 tries over, especially the one to Brody Jones. Something out of nothing.
Adam Elliott
as well, throwing that pass. It looked excellent, and it was excellent. Sorry, phone, 1 second. Liam, do you want to take this?
Yes. Hello, Joust residents. Hello? You're cutting out. I can't quite hear you.
Kalen Ponga had 13 tackle busts in that game. That's fucking stupid.
Oh, wow.
That's incredible.
It was incredible.
Go Knights.
Thank you very much, Liam. That's really kind of you to call in and just let us know your thoughts on Kalen Ponga and what he does in the game of rugby league for the wonderful people of Newcastle and the Hunter. Goodbye.
Thank you, Liam, from the past. That's excellent.
Time is a flat circle, Naggy. I'm everywhere at all times.
Now, it was a team effort despite being led by Kalen Ponga. Adam Elliott, a player that has been talked about, being tapped on the shoulder to say...
No, I don't like it. I don't like that tap on the shoulder. I say rescind the tap on the shoulder. He had a great game. One try, 136 running metres, 40 post contact, 5 tackle busts. That's a lot still. He does a line break.
A lot of moving and shaking around the middle there with light hands to the forwards.
You know what? The last couple of weeks I've really noticed about Adam Elliott too. He's fucking hard.
Yes.
He runs hard and he hits hard. I think the last few weeks are, maybe the best footy Adam Elliott's played in a Knights jersey. He's really stepped it up.
He likes the bear tackle. He likes all arms and all over the top.
Well, it's because it's like giving someone a real big hug.
Big hug.
And he loves giving hugs.
He loves hugs.
Sometimes to his teammates' misses out the back.
And now it's...
That happened. That's not slander or libel. That happened.
Not a jury in the land.
It was the very Jake Avarillo who he beat in the game of footy.
No, it was a different fella. That was
Jake Avarillo because it was on the back. It was a different fella. It was Michael Leisha.
The Michael Leisha, yeah.
Notably, no longer plays in the NFL. I wonder why.
Well, who won there? Not him. A little tip of the hat. That wasn't quite off to Bradman Best, mainly for his defence, looking after Herbie Farnworth.
A tough assignment, as we saw against the Redcliffe Dolphins against the Brisbane Broncos. Herbie Farnworth.
A lot of people said at the beginning of the game that Herbie Farnworth was the best centre in the game. And
Who said that?
Oh, lots of people say it all the time about centres that have one good game. But Bradman Best reminded everyone that he is actually the best centre in the game.
Because he's had several good games.
Both attack and defence, of course, bringing home...
But you know what? The NRL media shills in the mainstream, in their ivory tower. They won't say that. That won't come out of their lips. There won't be a big headline that says Bradman goes bananas.
Not Bradman goes bananas, the boy from Woy. No, they won't. They won't ever leave their lips. But we know it, and we've got him.
Yeah.
And thank God we do.
And I know a lot about bananas, coming from arguably the banana capital of Australia, the Mid-North Coast. Some would say it's the far north Queensland, but no. The Mid-North Coast is the heart and soul of the Australian banana industry. They built a whole theme park about bananas.
Yeah, there's a train.
There's a train?
Big banana.
Well, it's a monorail.
Surely that won't continue on after there's a bypass beyond Coffs Harbour.
People would leave the bypass just to go to the big banana. There's a skating rink. There's an ice, a hill.
Everything.
That you take skis down.
Everything you want at Coffs Harbour.
There's a whole section of it dedicated just to space exploration for some reason.
There's a big windmill, separate from the big banana. The big windmill, of course. And there's bananas there.
You go to Port Macquarie, they got the big oyster.
Yeah, they got big things on the way. Big things. They've all been bypassed, though. It's just now there's just a big highway. But Liam, when we take our hats off, we have to return them to our head. Now, this fellow...
Well, we couldn't bring it upon ourselves to put the hat back onto our head to a rugby league Newcastle Knights player.
No. It was Big Brom playing his last game, who committed an act of violence.
Of indecency. Of rudeness.
We love violence within the rules of the game.
No, outside the rules of the game, but within the physical bounds of the rugby league field.
Yes. And then he did that.
Except...
Yeah.
If it's on Kalen Pong.
Except with it's on Kalen Pong. Protect the boy. We don't want to see another injury that he copped against the Sharks last year when he went in with an AC joint to his shoulder. And that's exactly where Jesse Bromwich went in with a big swinging arm, hitting in the face, we said, no. We said, no, you're getting your hats back onto this, and see you later, Jesse. You're no longer playing rugby league professionally, probably in the Illawarra competition or something else like that. But he will continue on, but not on our televisions. Well, you probably get it somewhere else.
You get it Bar TVs everywhere.
Bar TV, you can probably watch it. But you're not going to get it in this year's final series. So we can put our hats back on to Jesse Bromwich.
Firmly.
I thought we were going to get the sting there, sorry.
But Naggy, we go from our hats on to something that I've enjoyed a lot this year is my various crackdowns.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Thank you very much, Nina. Liam, what's your gripe this week?
Now, my crackdown of the week, Naggy, my gripe, my bugbear that's been being in my bonnet is something that Wayne Bennett has said. And now we hear this far too often from coaches who have a decision go against them based on the review of the bunker. Yes. What did Wayne say? He said, get rid of the bunker, he says. Yeah. Now, I've heard Wayne say this before. I've heard other coaches who don't like a decision that's gone against them that was made by the bunker. They say, get rid of the bunker. And I say, and then what? Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets. They don't know what to do. They say, get rid of the bunker. It's like, but what are you going to do to replace the bunker? Well, I don't know.
Well,
they say the rugby league people will just accept that mistakes are made sometimes and they'll be okay with it. We're not.
No, not.
We're not. We're very petty people in the rugby league world. If a decision goes against our team and it's, be the bunker correct or incorrect, we're very angry at them. But this ties into something that a lot of the old heads also says. The game's not played in slow motion. But this all comes down to the broadcast. The game is not played in slow motion, but it is broadcast in slow motion. So just think, if a decision goes against your team, you get to watch every single replay showing that it's incorrect. And they're like, that's fine. It's not fine. Like they say, we'll get rid of the bunker, we'll go back to the old video ref. It's the same thing. It's a man watching the video and pressing a button.
Yes.
How do you get rid of that from the game without allowing glaring errors to happen? And the coach is like, people will be okay with that. We won't be okay with it. We'll be furious. So to Wayne, I say, I'm sorry, Wayne.
Sod off and die. Sod off and die, Wayne.
That was Naggy that said that. Thank you. But but
1998.
what are your thoughts on this, right?
1998, Liam. We were 8 years old, and the game went through this whole modernisation. It's the NRL now. We've let go of Super League, and they brought in the video referee. It used to be a big white board. There was a green light, a red light.
Well, that's it. They were really, audacious. Like, we're bringing in the big screen, and I got really excited. I was like, I can watch the footy at the footy. It's like, no, it's just two lights.
Two lights. And it was like green for try, red for no try. It's been around for
There was a weird yellow one for refs calling it. Or what was the point of all this?
And there was a waste of time. And it's been 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Wayne was a much younger man at the time. He's very familiar
He's still
with this.
very old.
Very
much
old,
younger.
Yeah. He's just not happy. He's very he's out of sync, you could say. And he's just continuing on. And the fact that he's lost this game in the 2 years that he's had this club, the Dolphins, and they haven't moved any further forward into the finals, and he's stuck there and he's about to get $1 million plus in his later years, best retirement pension plan you've ever seen in your life, and he's fucking off to Souths, and he didn't do it against the Dolphins in Newcastle because that's his former club. There he is shaking hands with his little head.
It's a man with a notoriously big head.
Nathan Tinkler.
Just a big noggin. I don't mean big head in terms of ego or anything. His noggin's just massive.
That handshake ruined the club for many years. We've come out of it now, 4 finals out of 5 years, which is excellent considering we spent 7 years post that the time where we just weren't in the finals whatsoever.
You just got a real treat. You got a double crackdown. You got Mike crackdowning on cracking down on the bunker. You got Naggy crackdowning on Wayne Bennett's just existence. Just the fact that he exists.
I don't like him. I don't want him. I think he's done.
He's cooked, would you say? Has he cooked his goose?
Possibly. He's done all the cooking. The oven's been left on. Liam, we're heading up to Townstown.
Yeah. Of course, town
means
town. And Zville
means town.
And
that's where we end up there on the other side of the earth, which is they've got a few buildings and a big rock. And
there's a river of some sort, maybe a creek, who knows?
Possibly.
Probably full of saltwater jellyfish.
That'd have to be, Irukandji, the tiny jellyfish that will probably kill you.
Definitely would kill
large
you.
Crocodiles that will definitely kill you. Everything up there is a danger. They should receive danger money for just being there. We should, if we're going up there on the bus on the Sea Fogs, we should say, hang on a second, can we get some insurance on our lives?
Or at least some Irukandji repellent or something.
Go on the water. Nowhere near the water. If you're going there staying at a hotel, make sure it's the second floor.
And you can't be out in the land because it's 500 degrees. You'll melt.
Of course, no.
Would you scorch or would you melt first?
I don't know.
'Cause I've never been there and I don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there.
Why would I want to go to a town that's named Town twice?
There's 22 players from the Newcastle Knights heading up that way. We've looked at the team list that was released today.
Handsome team list.
Great team
and
list.
Jackson Hastings.
We still got that back five that is very strong, Liam. With
Best
the
back five in the comp, maybe? I think it's safe to say.
Possibly. Yeah. And Brevin Best Danger guy making up the centres. Greg Marju, the bus, who would be actually carrying everyone. He'd be doing it with his...
He's the very bus that's taking everyone up there.
16
Boy,
wheels.
I hope they fly, because that's a long way.
Fletcher Sharp, who seems to add a lot of spark and balance to that back five. But as well as some notable absences is the other Safidi, Jacob, still out with that...
No good.
Calf, ankle, something. Yeah,
mid-groin.
Mid-groin.
Lower mid-groin.
Yeah.
Lower mid-groin.
He's no longer there. KPP there with his hot dog style injury that is apparently we're going to be demonetized
Look away,
for that.
Joust.
With his go-go gadget arm,
because it's like a car crash.
his leg tried to extend too far and it just split in the middle, and a lot of meat.
Well, when your legs are that long, there's a lot of tensile strength in it. So when you do split it open, it's got
splits right open. Named at 22 there, I'd say he's an outside chance of playing.
But now I'm not quite so concerned with the lack of KPP, given the emergence of Brodie Jones as a player that we never knew he was. We knew he had some talent. We knew he was good. We knew he was dependable.
Yep.
He was our very own Billy Peden for the new age, but he's turning into a really key part of this forward pack.
Heads and shoulders, knees and toes. Brodie Jones.
Not a neck to be seen.
No, doesn't own
No.
one. To be going from that like sort of middle forward, and he's playing a bit in the edge. And it seems like he's turned out to be a really, really valuable bench player that we always hoped that he would be.
And isn't it great to see that Adam O'Brien has finally answered the question that no one asked?
Yeah, where's
Will
Brodie Jones?
Jack Cogger and Phoenix Crossland be good in the halves?
Oh, of course,
No
yeah.
one said that. No
Yeah.
one said when they were looking at all the various permutations of the Knights' halves at the start of the year. No one said, boy, will it be good if we put Jack Cogger and Phoenix Crossland together?
It's an
Guess what?
Yeah.
It is.
An interesting combination that we didn't think would work. It's a bit of a Sonny and Cher moment.
That's not we didn't think it would work. We just didn't think it would be. We didn't think it would happen. Like it wasn't on the radar. It wasn't even on the planet.
We got Gamble responsibly, of course.
What an impact he made on the weekend, didn't he?
Coming in
Yeah.
as well.
1 run, 7 metres.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking.
There is a bit of insurance off for both our halves, as well as look. I'll tell you what. Also notable for the number 9 Jaden Brayley to also be doing quite well, where everyone thought he was a bit done. I think he's put his hand up and playing exceptionally well. But now we're coming up against Reece Robson, of course, a very, very good hooker. The back row of
Stunning eyes too. Jesus Christ.
I was going to say Hellman Lukey. Is that his name? Hellman Lukey?
Helium.
Helium Lukey.
He's a balloon.
He's a balloon.
Not in terms of his physique, just in terms of you have to tie him down to the ground so he doesn't just float away.
Jeremiah Nanai, but the big inclusion here, I think, is the most recent one of Jake Clifford, which is the Nightmares of Christmas Past. So, of course, he was playing with us in 2022 in our biggest failure year of Adam O'Brien.
You were right when you said his eyes are too high.
Too high on his head.
Too high on his head. Just get him lowered, Jake.
Now, when Jake used to play for us, he has all the attributes of a really, really great half. He's big, he's quite fast, he's got a huge boot on him.
He can belt the shit out of a Steeden like very few people.
And when things are going well, he looks great. When things are a bit of a clutch moment, he seems to disappear. He's on a bus back to Brisbane. He said, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And
he's jumping on Greg's back. Go, Greg.
Go, Greg. Get me out of here. Hurrah. That's what they say on a horse. And then they might just say, yeah, but he throws in a hurrah at the start of it. Now, it's an interesting... He's so excited to be out of there. There was times and times in 2022 where he seems like there was moments where he should have stepped up and he didn't. I don't know if he's a different player now. He's certainly a few years older. He's been over Super League. He's come back. He's worked his way.
It's a big vote of confidence from Coach Todd Payton, saying that they will drop Chad Townsend, notably a very clutch player when it comes to finals rugby league. Do you think it's the same as, when Dom Young signed for the Roosters last year and we said, we hate you, Dom?
Yeah.
Do you think Todd Payton went into the dressing room and said, I hate you, Chad Townsend?
Possibly.
Go away.
Well,
get on the Sid Foggs with the Knights and fuck off.
The only other time this year that we've played them was a 20-21 Golden Point loss where
I hated that.
Chad Townsend kicked the field goal and
didn't like that at all.
Didn't like that at all. Excuse me. So there was Chad Townsend also scored a try, but Adam Elliott was also 2 tries. And I always have a feeling that if you've scored a couple of tries against a team, you've got that sort of feeling.
It's easy. You've got one over them. I'm better than you boys.
You go
and
back
I
there
know it.
You go back to that stadium, you look around and you go, I remember this. I did
this.
I remember feeling good.
Yeah.
I remember the crowd cheering me. Now, there's got to be 12 Knight supporters there, probably 18,000 Cowboy supporters there.
There would be 30, but half of them got eaten by Irukandji.
Yeah, Irukandji. Well, eaten all the way by Irukandji. That's how many of them are. Tom Dearn's a player that we need to worry about, Liam.
Alfie Langer's wet dream.
That's right.
But I tell you, one of the things that I am concerned about, Naggy, and if we could just go back to the team list briefly. Now, one thing that the Knights have really impressed in the last couple of weeks is that there has been some very good, honest, hard forwards work.
Yes.
Now, the forward pack that the Newcastle Knights are coming up against is very good. Now, you've got Jordan McLean, big man, slow, lumbering, but your classic prop.
Jason Taumalolo, at least
the ghost of Jason Taumalolo.
One good knee, I believe he has left.
He has. Hylam Lukey, the balloon man, so just grab his string and you won't be able to get him
around.
Jeremiah Nanai somehow isn't very good, but will score 4 tries.
Yes, he will.
He won't do anything except score 4 tries, so that's a concern. And then Ruben Cotter's just a dog, man.
Yeah.
He is just a dog.
In the nicest way to say.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean that as a compliment. He's a dog. in the way that he plays the game. He'll
and of course,
he'll bite you on the fellas and just not let go.
I think the Cowboys are a team that don't know why exactly they're playing really, really well, or they just drop a game and they concede 40 points. Hopefully, we get up there with the pressure on that players like Valentine Holmes, very talented, will just shit the bed and go, hang on a second, I thought I could play rugby league. No, you can't.
He could, honestly, given the way he's been kicking goals in the past few weeks, he could single-handedly win it.
Yeah.
In low-scoring finals-type games, you need an effective goal kicker. He's obviously been working a lot with Mark Tukey because he's been banging him over from the sideline for weeks now.
Well, obviously, the salary cap was a huge loss to the Newcastle Knights. We had to let Mark Tukey go.
He had to shed Tukes.
He's gone there up to the Cowboys.
Isn't it funny, the Tukey leaving and Derby's Pies closing down seems to have
coincided, do you think?
Except that Derby's Pies probably closed 15 years ago.
Liam, none of us can get up there to Townsville. It's too far away. You have to get 6 planes, 2 trains, and a boat down the river. And it's
one of those shitty fan boats that you get in the Florida Everglades.
There's crocodiles. There's all those sorts of things.
Did you ever watch the movie Lake Placid?
Yes.
That's basically where they're playing.
That's basically where they're playing it.
It's a great movie.
There's the Bill Pullman Paxton.
Which one?
Which one? We don't know. It's one of the Bills.
Yeah.
But if you can't get up there, which no one can, head to the Wickham Park Hotel and have a wonderful, wonderful evening there on a Saturday evening. Enjoy a lovely,
fantastic pub. $8 for a schooner of beer.
Of craft beer.
Fantastic. Good local craft beer that was brewed merely up the street.
Yeah,
very, very good.
That's right. Joust, we'll be seeing you next week talking about a Newcastle Knights victory and which one of the top 4 we'll be taking on. But if you like us, please like us on one of these social pipes that you see in front of you, or anything else that you might be watching on right now. Just continue on that platform.
Still haven't got the Twitter going. Sorry, Jousters.
It might be next year. Thank you very much for joining us this week, Jousters. We will catch you next week talking about everything victory. The taste of victory. Yummy, yummy.
Just run down my cheeks. That was a good one. Oh, that was a good one, boys. Maybe because my baseline was being really hungover last week, but that felt